marketing manager at Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Beatrice Silva, reporting live from my humble abode. Today, we'll be speaking with Brandon Schuster, Business Development and Marketing Manager at The Writer. Brandon, thank you so much for being on our show today. We're so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today.
So I just watched Creativity in the Time of COVID, and I must say I was absolutely inspired to say the least. So
Oh, thank you.
congratulations on such a successful program.
Yeah.
But could you give viewers a quick summary on what the show is all about?
Yeah, totally. So basically, back in March, the rabbi of Temple Beth El Boca Raton, her name is Rabbi Jessica Mates, she reached out to me and she said, "I want to do something," and we started brainstorming some ideas that we could possibly do. And I just started saying that I was noticing that a lot of creativity and art was adapting to the modern times that each of us are facing during quarantine. And so I started to name a couple of really cool ideas, and ultimately this is how this labor of love happened. And then with that, I started making some phone calls. I called a film producer friend of mine, who then said yes, and then called her Broadway producer friend. I called Judy Gold, who is a very famous stand-up comedian and hilarious. And that's really how all this came about, and it was something that the Temple community was able to rally behind as well. And if you watch the rest of the program, you'll see how the community themselves have adapted to become more creative during COVID, because it really is the silver lining to all of the negatives that we've all been facing.
No, that's so true. But that's so crazy that you said that this idea was happened on a simple phone call that you had with Rabbi Jessica Mates. Was it something that you always wanted to do, or was it like this aha moment you had literally on the phone?
It's kind of a mixture of both. I mean, I didn't give it much thought earlier, but I was very honored that she had called me. And then off of that, immediately this idea just came, and she just gravitated toward it. And then Eleanor Burkett, who was an Oscar-winning documentary filmmaker, she was already on board to do something too. She loved it too. The three of us got on a phone call, and magic just came from that.
And so the phone call happened how many months ago? 2 months ago?
Uh, yeah, I would say like maybe about 2 or 3 weeks into quarantine.
Oh, wow.
And it's interesting because already just 2 weeks in, we started to see a lot of change happening within the art and content world.
That's crazy. I know on your program you had, like you said, you had Emmy award-winning comedian Judy Gold,
Mhm.
Tony Award producer Jonathan Demar, Oscar winner Eleanor Brickett, and film producer Jessica Wise. Just to say the least, because I know you had a couple other people on there. But so, how do you get these type of celebrities on the phone? Was it just like going through your phone book and you just happen to have these connections?
So Eleanor was already a friend of Rabbi Jessica Mates, and the initial idea was to have her and I together in some sort of conversation, but she didn't really quite know what that conversation would be. And then as we started to develop this idea, we ultimately realized real fast that the conversation needed to be beyond just Eleanor and I. And so I made a call to Jess Weiss, who's a good friend of mine back in New York, and she said yes immediately. And then she said, "Oh my God, you know what? I think my good friend Jonathan would really like this." Jonathan said yes in 15 minutes, and already in the span of 1 hour, we had this great panel idea, and we had an Oscar winner and a Tony winner and a big time independent film producer who just won a big award at the Tribeca Film Festival last year. And then I called up Judy, who I know personally, and about a week later, she had said yes, which was really great. And I'm just so grateful for all four of them for coming on board, because I think the conversation really was magic, and we had so much fun. And really, what's on the broadcast is only about 15 or 20 minutes out of like 45 minutes of just us just having so much fun and talking about something that we are all so passionate and just love, and we're all fans too, as much as we're all involved in those worlds as well.
You could totally tell when I was watching it. I felt like I was like the fifth panelist. Like I was a part of the combo, and just the relationship, the connection you guys had together. The viewers obviously fed off of that. Other than having like in-depth conversations, I know there were some performances, and then
Yeah,
Judy Gold did a few kind of comic. She is hilarious, by the way. Oh my gosh,
it's so
she
funny.
is just funny. And then Judy spoke about the challenges she faces, and I'm sure a ton of other actors as an entertainer trying to virtually connect to her audience, and how nothing compares to live performances. Do you agree with her statement, or do you think virtual entertainment is just as fulfilling, or can be just as fulfilling?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Um, no, so I definitely agree with Judy, because there's nothing like the thrill of a live performance. But I think one of the things that we're all noticing now is that we all have to adapt to the times which we're currently in. And so I think comedians such as Judy have done a fantastic job of really getting herself out there during this time, being a part of some really great pieces of content. And actually, one thing which she was a part of, and we talked about it during the panel, is the Saturday Night Seder. Now, this is probably a show that would probably never get created if we all weren't stuck inside of our homes. I mean, this is a literally a variety show about Passover. But yet here we were, in quarantine, just as this holiday was starting, and it seemed like a pretty good time to create it. And you got Jewish and non-Jewish celebrities alike coming together to put on the show, and the end result was something so beautiful. And if you watch it, there are millions of people who tuned in. Clips throughout the show were going viral, which is incredible, and it just goes to show that you are able to create something out of anything, and that people are going to be able to find it relevant in so many different ways. And so Judy was actually a part of the Saturday Night Seder, and if you haven't had a chance to view her monologue on about Passover, it's one of the funniest monologues ever. And I actually saw that some guy actually recreated her monologue and did like a little bit of like a drag thing, and it just shows the impact that content that people are creating with webcams such as this, are having on so many people around the world. And I think that that's a pretty fascinating thing, and a big change which we've seen as we started quarantine during this new decade.
That is so true. And you being a business development and marketing manager at The Writer, what kind of strategies did you use to market this program?
So, so a lot of the marketing came with a fantastic team that's already at Temple Bethel. There are two people there named Susan and Isabella, and they did a fantastic job of putting together the promotional materials. I simply just put it out on social media. Of course, word obviously spread, and then what's pretty fascinating is that it got picked up by a bunch of different outlets as well. One of them being the Union for Reform Judaism, which is an entire denomination of Judaism, and they also promoted it as well, which definitely helped get a lot of people. But I started to hear friends in Israel and the Netherlands and Brazil all talk about how excited they were to tune in. And ultimately, we had over 2,000 people tune in to the live broadcast, and there have been thousands of views since, because people are able to watch the recording on Facebook and other streaming platforms as well, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. It as for viewers, it aired live on Facebook on May 16th. Is that correct, Brandon?
It was just this past Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But don't worry, you didn't miss it, viewers. You're still able to tune in. Brandon, could you share a link or a page that they're able to watch it at?
Yeah, totally. So if you want to read everyone's bios, and if you want to tune into the recording, you can go to tbeboca.org/creativity.
Yes, and I highly suggest. I truly enjoyed watching it, and seriously cannot believe that you were able to produce such a show in the matter of weeks. Could you give us like do you have, first of all, do you have experience in broadcasting?
Not necessarily, but I've had some experience in terms of, like, meeting celebrities and somehow getting on TV shows. It's a weird long story that no one wants to hear about.
No, 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 Brandon. Speaking of, this is the perfect time. I want to transition to your BuzzFeed moment.
No.
BuzzFeed BuzzFeed is this huge platform that, it's international. Everyone knows BuzzFeed. If you don't know BuzzFeed, you must be living under a rock. But I was shocked to see that we have a picture, actually. Teddy's going to bring up a picture of you. This picture right
Yep.
here. I got married. Actually, I'm going to let you read it, Brandon, since you are
Oh God.
you have that great podcasting voice.
So, so do you want me to give the background, or do you want me to read this?
Read it and then background.
All right. So I got, quote unquote, married to Priyanka Chopra in 2014. I put two flower lays on her to welcome her to a green carpet event in Tampa. Little did I know that symbolized marriage in Indian culture. The Indian press had a field day with it, and I was giving exclusive interviews the next day. So basically, the background to this is, this is so stupid. Back in 2014, there was something called the IFA Awards, which are kind of like the Bollywood Oscars, and their whole shtick is that the IFA Awards are held in a different city around the world every year, to prove just how global Bollywood is. And so at the time, I was working at the Tampa International Airport, and as the Bollywood celebrities would fly in to the Tampa airport, that began the first part of their IFA award journey in Tampa. And so we took them from the plane, we put them in the elevator, we brought them up to the top floor of the parking garage, which we had turned into this massive green carpet event. And on one side was all of the press, which was there, and on the other side were screaming fans. And when Priyanka Chopra came, there were, I believe it was like 5,000 or 6,000 people, which I believe still holds the record of the second largest crowd that has arrived at the Tampa airport, only to be beat by One Direction in like 2011. And so it was pandemonium. I had never seen anything as crazy as this. And so my job at the green carpet was to kind of like MC everything, and to kind of help guide the Bollywood celebrities. And I would bring them over to the press, and then I bring them over to the fans. I was kind of like their green carpet guide, and I would kind of circle through all the different celebrities. Meanwhile, I didn't know who any of these Bollywood celebrities were, but we obviously knew who Priyanka Chopra was, because this was just before she did Quantico. She was just starting to get big. She had a song with Pitbull that was fairly popular. And so to welcome all of these celebrities, we put flower lays on each of these celebrities. But But I was told that because Priyanka Chopra was such an extra special celebrity, we were going to put two flower lays on her. And so I put two flower lays on her, and then she quickly took that off. But the very next day, that exact photo was kind of circulating around the Indian media, and the Indian media members who were there were quick to show me that the picture going viral, and people making jokes that Priyanka Chopra goes to America and gets married to stupid American boy. And it was just like kind of like this really funny joke for the past couple of years. And so Chrissy Teigen a couple weeks ago, oh my God, she put out a tweet saying, "Have you guys ever been famous for like literally 1 second for the stupidest thing ever?" And of course, I responded with that picture, thinking I would get, oh, I don't know, 5, maybe 10 likes. I really wasn't expecting anything with it. And then later that day, BuzzFeed picked up on it, and suddenly everyone was texting me. And the very next morning, I woke up to my Google alerts going off like crazy. Uh, and I was suddenly all over the Indian press saying, "Man makes allegations that he was Priyanka Chopra's secret husband."
Oh my God, the media really does pull things out of the air.
It
That's
was
great. So this is
weird.
now your second time that you're famous for something stupid.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
funny
much.
though, and I really, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my God, this is like the coolest thing." So you said that you had like a bunch of exclusive interviews the next day. What was that like? Were you doing them literally back to back, or you just did like one press
I
vlog?
mean, it was mostly just me being there working with a bunch of these Indian media press members who I got to know over the past couple days, and they were just asking questions, and I was giving funny responses, saying that I was on like cloud nine because we were on the ninth floor, and oh yeah, my new wife and I are so happy, clearly sarcastic, but it was all fun, and it's been a funny joke with a bunch of my friends over the past 6 years. But some people, and I realized this once there started to be articles, just a couple of weeks ago, some people didn't quite see the humor in that and actually took me seriously. So I'm here to set the record straight. I never got married to Priyanka Chopra. Breaking news here first.
Yes, here on AMP Media Productions. Thank you, Brandon, for setting the record straight. Our show is just about to come to an end, and I just want to thank you so much for being here and talking about your program, Creativity in the Time of COVID. But one more time, if you could just give a link or give your information out if you would like on how viewers can watch that.
Yeah, totally. So, again, if you want to watch the recording of Creativity in the Time of COVID, you can go to tbeboca.org/slash creativity, and or you can also go to Temple Bethel of Boca Raton. You can go to their Facebook page, and it'll be listed there in under all of their videos. And so you want to look for Creativity in the Time of COVID.
Incredible. Brandon, thank you again for being inspiring and giving us such a broad insight of really what it's like to be creative in the time of a pandemic. So it was so nice speaking with you. Viewers, I
Yeah,
hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you again.